Coming up on the 2014 FIFA World Cup magazine, we journey to Mato Grosso at the heart of South America. We join FIFA and the local organising committee as they take in Cuiaba. And we assess the state of the game and the future of football throughout Mato Grosso. But we begin in Europe with an update on Italy's attempt to qualify for the 2014 tournament. In Yerevan against Armenia, an Andrea Pirlo penalty gave the Azzurri an 11th minute lead. Henrik Mkhitaryan, who's making a name for himself in the UEFA Champions League this season, stunned the four-time world champions with an equaliser before the interval. But Armenia's hopes of causing an upset were dashed by two second-half goals for the visitors, the first of which was scored by Daniele De Rossi. 4 games in, Italy are top of Group B. Four days later in Madrid, reigning world champion Spain looked set to make it 3 wins out of 3 in Group 1, when at the second time of asking, Sergio Ramos fired them into a 25th minute lead against neighbours France. But 4 minutes into injury time, after Cesc Fabregas had missed a penalty for the hosts, Olivier Giroud rescued a valuable point for Les Bleus. The two nations remain level on points at the top of the group, with 5 games to play. In Asia, there were wins for Australia, Oman, Iran and Uzbekistan as the 4th round of regional qualifying reached the halfway stage. The top 2 in each group section qualify automatically, and whilst Group A remains tight, Japan are running away with Group B. In the North, Central America and Caribbean zone, Carlos Ruiz gave Guatemala a surprise early lead in their winner-takes-all encounter against the USA. But the home side were level just 5 minutes later, thanks to a rare Carlos Bocanegra goal. The USA went on to score 2 more before the break, both from Clint Dempsey, to secure their place in round 4. Also through to the hexagonal stage are Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras and Jamaica. The team that finishes 4th in the hexagonal will face the winners of Oceania's qualifying group in an intercontinental playoff. New Zealand or New Caledonia will represent Oceania, with the All Whites currently 3 points clear with 2 games to play. Finally, in South America, Argentina continued their march towards an 11th straight finals appearance with a 2-1 victory in Chile. Their captain and talisman, Lionel Messi, opened the scoring on 28 minutes, and the game was effectively over as a contest 3 minutes later, when Gonzalo Higuain doubled the visitors' lead. Chile reduced the arrears in second-half injury time, but a 6th win in 9 games for Argentina edges them even closer to a place in Brazil. Of Brazil's 12 host cities in 2014, Cuiaba is easily the smallest. Just 500,000 inhabitants live here, in what is officially the geographical centre of South America. The state capital of Mato Grosso, the city was founded in 1727, although Portuguese explorers and colonisers had arrived here much earlier, looking to enslave the indigenous population, who were then destined for other parts of Brazil. The discovery and exploitation of gold saw the population increase, and it wasn't long before Europeans, native Indians and black slaves lived side by side, creating a vibrant cultural mix. Today, that vibrancy is still in evidence in Cuiaba, which, despite its size, has a great deal to offer.
We have a project which is designed to transform the state, starting with the World Cup. We want to become a reference point for the whole world. We want the world to get to know our state, make people aware that the Pantanal lowlands exist, with a huge variety of flora and fauna. These are the expectations that we have at the moment, and this is what we're working towards.
The state of Mato Grosso is rich in indigenous culture, with 38 official languages spoken by 38 different groups or entities. Down the years, some have disappeared, but moves recently by the local and national governments have helped them to revive their way of life. And now, with the World Cup on the horizon, there's every chance their lives will be transformed for the better.
It's certain that the main roads, our avenues, all the bridges we are getting, the arrival of the overground metro system, this link with Vaza Grande, via new bridges being built in the metropolitan region of Cuiaba and Vaza Grande, will make a difference. The ease with which people and vehicles will now move has only been possible thanks to the arrival of the World Cup.
Cuiaba will revel in its role as a host city, and rightly so. But when the matches are being played elsewhere, the city can be a base from which to explore the natural beauty that this part of Brazil has to offer.
What will appeal to many people is our flora and fauna, our natural habitat. People can come for a day trip and they will be able to see crocodiles, hundreds of birds and other animals. But we do need more infrastructure, and I'm pleased to say we're already receiving investment.
The rock formations near Chapada dos Guimarães, just outside Cuiaba, were formed billions of years ago and are a popular tourist attraction. The Cerrado region and its crystal-clear rivers and waterfalls are also a must-see. And within 2 hours of Cuiaba is the stunning Pantanal region. One of the most unspoilt areas of Brazil, the Pantanal boasts a vast array of wildlife.
It makes us proud to have been chosen as a World Cup venue. It's a challenge to prepare the city for the event. But the people who will come here for the first game in Cuiaba on June the 13th, they will be sharing the city with people who are proud to be locals, people who are proud to come from Mato Grosso. They will be ready to welcome the world, ready to show them the city and perhaps convince them to come back one day. Also, when they return home, hopefully they will tell their families and friends to go to Mato Grosso, to go to Cuiaba, because it really is worth a visit.
The welcome will be warm, and the city's World Cup projects will indeed upgrade Cuiaba's infrastructure and that of the surrounding areas. In late August, FIFA and the local organising committee made their first official joint visit to Cuiaba. They were warmly welcomed by local politicians and some of the participants in a statewide art competition. Some 98,000 children entered the competition, each of them producing a World Cup-themed piece. There were 18 winners in 6 different categories, and they and the runners-up received their certificates from the state governor and the guests of honour, who included Ronaldo. FIFA Secretary-General Jerome Valk had a special surprise for the award winners. Not only did he invite them and their families to attend a FIFA World Cup match in 2014, he also offered up the chance to witness a matchday operation from behind the scenes. The drawing and painting competition is one of many initiatives the state government is running in the lead-up to the World Cup, an event they hope will put Mato Grosso on the world map. And here, as in the other cities the joint delegation has already visited, one man was the centre of attention.
Every host city deserves to receive national teams, even during the preparation stages for the World Cup. A World Cup is not only a sporting competition, it's also a cultural event in which many people from different backgrounds come together. I'm certain that Cuiaba and the state of Mato Grosso are prepared to receive a large number of tourists.
The morning events were followed by a visit to Cuiaba's grand project, the Arena Pantanal, which is being constructed on a previously underdeveloped area close to the city centre. Work began here in 2011, and signs of revitalisation were soon evident in the immediate vicinity of the construction site. The plan here in Cuiaba is not only to build a stadium, but also a shopping complex and other facilities that will be in situ long after the tournament is finished.
They are perfectly on track, so it means that we are very confident and there is no major issue. We have still to monitor as we are doing to make sure that all the projects, because there are plenty of projects, are again ready for the World Cup. I think that where we were impressed and where I was definitely impressed here today is by the level of vision they have to use the World Cup to create a real legacy after this World Cup. So it means that, again, as we have seen in some cities already, the city and the state will be a different one after the World Cup.
The state government is also overhauling Cuiaba's public transport system. A state-of-the-art overland train network is planned, and it will eventually link the airport and the stadium with the business and residential areas in the city.
The World Cup in Mato Grosso will represent a huge step forward in the development of the city, in the quality of life of its people, and in the infrastructure as a whole. All of that will come to pass thanks to the World Cup.
Once again, here at the stadium, Ronaldo's presence generated a great deal of excitement amongst the men who were responsible for building this facility. Getting him on board was a masterstroke, and the World Cup winner has taken to his new role with great ease.
The possibilities that I've had to travel, to visit the World Cup's host cities, have given me a sense of great pride and satisfaction. I can really see the enthusiasm that the Brazilian people have for the World Cup. I see it in the workers, in the people in the streets, in those individuals directly associated with the construction for the tournament. I see a genuine enthusiasm.
Brazilian people love their music. They also like to dance. Here in Cuiaba, Siriri is one of the dances of choice and is practiced by many throughout the city and the state.
Siriri is one of the main cultural manifestations of Mato Grosso. It comes from the amalgamation of people, European, African, indigenous. You can see these characteristics in our European clothing. It's very typical. The question of the dance, well, that's African. And the dance moves themselves, the basic Siriri steps, they're indigenous. It's all part of the popular culture of Mato Grosso.
Here in Mato
Grosso, Siriri used to be performed at all of the saints' festivals in the region. As time went by, the groups started to organise themselves. The communities followed suit, and they began to form Siriri groups. Through both the songs and the dance, they try to relay a message. Messages related to nature, love, the preservation of culture, and all the cultural manifestations throughout Brazil. One of the things that confuses people, even those from Cuiaba, is the question of Siriri and Cururu always being together. Each one is a dance in its own right, and they both have their own moves. Cururu comes from the indigenous Bororo tribe called Bakururu. One of the main differences is that in Cururu, only the men take part. Siriri is performed by men, women and children, and the instruments used are viola da coxo and ganza, both of which also feature in Cururu. But there's another one, the mocho, also known as the tamborim. These are the main differences between Siriri and Cururu, but at most parties they both feature. Come to Cuiaba for the 2014 World Cup. We'll be waiting.
Back to Cuiaba's Arena Pantanal, which is also the focal point of the city's Green Cup project. To help neutralise the 711,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide produced during the stadium's construction, city officials will donate 1.4 million trees to 30,000 families living on the banks of 3 local rivers. The families in question will be rewarded financially to maintain them regularly in the months and years to come.
The concept of Arena Pantanal is fundamentally one of legacy. Our objective with this project was to design and to create a long-lasting sporting venue that would not only comply with all of FIFA's demands specific to football, but principally, with the legacy in mind, have other long-term uses.
Arena Pantanal will host 4 first-round matches in 2014, with capacity crowds of 44,000 expected for each of those games. And the design of the stadium is such that the capacity can and will be reduced to a more realistic level of 27,000 for post-World Cup use. As well as a number of local clubs using the arena for football, being a multi-purpose facility, the stadium will also be utilised for concerts, conferences and other major events.
Apart from the innovative design of the project, we thought very hard about the question of Cuiaba's environment, because we have extremely high temperatures here in the city. One of the important considerations was to make crossed ventilation possible. With that in mind, all 4 corners of the stadium are open to allow for this to happen.
The stadium and the surrounding area cover some 300,000 square metres, and environmental issues such as rainwater usage and solar energy are central to the planning of the whole project. Another feature of Cuiaba's World Cup project is Arena Pantanal's rehabilitation programme for former convicts and slave workers. The latter are brought in from other states to work on the farmlands of Mato Grosso, often with the promise of attractive wages. The reality is somewhat different, and the authorities liberate these workers, sending them home or providing them with suitable employment. One such scheme has placed some of these migrants at Arena Pantanal.
My living conditions were tough. It was hard. Housing was badly organised. We were badly treated. The workers were all being exploited. It was complicated. You could work and not get paid for 3, 4, even 8 or 9 months. I went 9 months without receiving anything. I'll tell you the truth, I spent 9 months without receiving a cent. And when I eventually got paid, I received only food, just food.
For 56-year-old Manuel do Nascimento, this opportunity has turned his life around. The same applies to his colleague, Jonathan Rodrigo, who spent 7 years behind bars for drug offences.
I managed to change my life. I managed to get here and work. Everything I have today I've earned through my sweat, through my work. Everything I have today has been achieved with a lot of effort. And I have it as a mirror, as an example to other people. You can change. You can have a different life. You can follow a different path. I want people to see that through perseverance you can win, just as I have won. I would like everyone to win as well.
Cuiaba Esporte Clube, the 3-time champions of Mato Grosso. Founded in 2001, the club is the state's highest-ranked team on a national level. Serie C is where they play their football, an achievement in a state where the game is still young.
When we started the federation in 1943, we barely had enough clubs for a 6-team league. That's when people realised that action was needed. So an umbrella league was formed for all of the clubs in the Mato Grosso region. This organisation was sponsored by the local communities and organised by the federation, the local clubs and other institutions. Back in 1968, we also established the Mato Grosso First Division. That was the first truly professional league in the state.
Cuiaba won the state championship in 2003 and 2004, only for their benefactor, himself a former player, to withdraw his support and close down the club's football operation. Having resolved their financial and administrative issues, Cuiaba returned in 2009. 3 years on, their head coach, a Sao Paulo native, has been impressed by what he's seen, both at the club and in the region as a whole.
I've been working in Mato Grosso for the past 3 years, and the football has improved a lot. But there is still much work to be done. Throughout the state, the clubs need to structure themselves a little better. But things are on the up. We have a lot of faith in the potential here, and I believe that whenever a club makes it to Brazil's first division, football in Mato Grosso will really take off. Things are moving in the right direction.
On their return in 2009, Cuiaba were placed in the second tier of the state championship, but they were soon back in the top division and by 2011 had claimed a third state title. Simultaneously, they took to the national stage for the first time, and a third-place finish in Serie D lifted them into Brazil's third division.
Cuiaba is very well structured. It's a private club, a club with owners, so the structure is good. But the vast majority of teams still need to improve their setup, particularly at the grassroots level. Here in Mato Grosso, kids football, the juniors and the game at under 20 level is still very weak. This is where we need to improve.
Cuiaba surrendered their state title to Luverdense earlier this year, and they're currently struggling to maintain their status in the third tier of the national championship. But long-term planning is afoot, and investing in their academy could see them realise their goals.
Ever since I arrived here, our target has been to win promotion to Serie B. We're continually working towards that. The journey has been difficult, but we managed to get there twice. We got into Serie D, then into Serie C, and we're now trying to get into the second division. But for me, the big moment for football in Mato Grosso will come when a club from here gains promotion to Serie A in the national championship.
For that to happen, Mato Grosso may need to revamp its own championship, just as other larger states have done. The format of the state championships changes regularly, and that can result in some fans losing interest locally and lead investors to divert their money elsewhere. Currently here in Mato Grosso, 12 clubs are divided into 2 groups of 6. They compete in 2 round-robin stages, with each one eventually decided by a playoff final. A third stage then decides the destiny of the state championship, unless, of course, the same club wins both playoff finals. For football really to prosper here in Brazil's third largest state, changes are needed, a fact not lost on the president of the local football federation.
We need greater unity between the different sections of society, not just in a sporting sense, but at the business, education and social levels too. I believe that the legacy of the World Cup in Mato Grosso should still be felt in 50 or 60 years' time. And if it is, then I think that will help improve the standard of football throughout the state.
As in every corner of this football-mad country, the FIFA World Cup can't come soon enough for the people and the administrators of the game in Cuiaba. Next time on the 2014 FIFA World Cup magazine, we unearth the roots of football in Brazil. We travel to the heart of the Amazon to discover the country's most breathtaking tourist destination. And we catch up with Zico, one of Brazil's most famous football ambassadors. See you then.